This episode is brought to you by Marcus Rodriguez. If you're looking to buy or sell your home in this competitive market and you're not too sure where to start, look no further than Merced's preferred realtor, Marcus Rodriguez. He'll make sure the process goes as easy as possible for you, and you can reach him at his phone number, 209-554-1715, his website, www.myrealtormarcus.com, or email him at info@myagentmarcus.com. Thanks again, Marcus. This podcast is also brought to you by Alien, a new fitness wear company on a mission to support mental health. There are 7 billion people on Earth, many that struggle with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, or just feeling like you have no one that cares. If you feel this way, no, you are not alone. Alien features high-quality men and women's activewear designed to help you reach your goals both in and out of the gym. A percentage of all proceeds are donated to the Suicide Awareness and Prevention Hotline. Shop now at alien.org. That's AYLEAN.org. And we're back, you guys. So we took a 1-week hiatus last week because me and my wife, yes, I got married to Lindsay 2 weekends ago. And so I did a solo podcast that week. And then, you know, my cousin from Portugal, Manuel, came down, and I hung out with him a lot, hung out with Lindsay a lot, of course, and me and Lindsay kept joking that, oh, this is our honeymoon, because we kept taking Manuel on trips, and it was just me, Lindsay, and Manuel. So it was really funny and real fun time that I had. And then I just got back from Monterey and Capitola, so we dropped Manuel off at the airport, SFO, on, when was it? On last Friday? I don't even know. No, on Monday. So I dropped him off on Monday, and then we were like, let's just make a trip out of it. And so we went to Capitola, stayed in the best Airbnb. I've been to Capitola so many times in my life, and this is one of the first or second time I've been there during the wintertime, and it is such a better place in the wintertime. There's no crowds, there's no people, you can breathe, it feels great. And so people who live in Capitola, I know that you live there Monday through Friday, and you probably get out of there on the weekends just because it's so ridiculous. But we had the best time there. We had this perfect Airbnb, little studio apartment right in front of the beach. So it came with 2 surfboards, 2 electric bikes, and 2 passes to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So it just and for $150 a night, you can't beat that. Maybe it was like $200 after the fees and everything, but it was such a great place, and I just had the best time. And then after that, me and Lindsay went out to Monterey, and we stayed at the Monterey Hotel. And the Monterey Hotel is actually, it's a historic hotel right downtown Monterey. And it was cool because we got there, and then we were walking around a little bit, and we're like, let's go to the Old Fisherman's Wharf. And so as soon as we get to the Old Fisherman's Wharf, we're walking. It's about 1:30, 1:40 at that point. And then we kind of stumble into this place. I believe it's called Princess Monterey Whale Watching or something like that. And so we go there, and we just walk in. We're like, hey, when's the next whale watching tour? And they're like, at 2 o'clock, we're boarding now. Do you guys want to come? And me and Lindsay kind of just spur the moment, look at each other, and we're just like, yeah, we'll do it. So we hopped on the boat, headed out about 40 minutes. It's like 40 minutes away from Monterey, but you're right in front of the 2 towers of Moss Landing. So I'm pretty sure that Monterey goes out there, Moss Landing goes out there, and I would assume Santa Cruz goes out there since they're all in the vicinity of each other. But so we go out there. Lindsay gets a little seasick on the way out, but then, dude, we saw 4 humpback whales feeding together, and they were all just right next to each other, showing their tail fins and everything, like just over and over and over again. And then out of nowhere, one just shoots up in the air and breaches the surface and literally just flies up in the air. I'm talking like almost, its tail was almost out of the water, then splashes, and then and I had my camera with me too, and then I'm just getting ready for it because I'm hoping that it could happen again. And then all of a sudden it comes out of the water. I'm not even zoomed in. I wish I was zoomed in, but honestly the picture I took came out great, and so I can't complain at all. But he breaches out of the water, shows his belly, and like you can see all the barnacles on him and everything. And the picture I got so cool. Maybe I'll put it right there. Maybe I won't. Let's be real. But so it was just such a cool experience. And then we ended the night going to this farmer's market, and we went to this farmer's market that was right in front of our hotel because they blocked off 2 streets, and we just walked along there, had a great time, went to this brewery, and then we just headed home yesterday. So it's been, I feel like I've been nonstop for the past 2 weeks, but I also feel like I haven't worked in the past 2 weeks, you guys. So I'm happy to be back in the studio, because back in the studio means back on the grind, back to doing things. So thank you for being patient with me. And now let's just jump into, this podcast. So, hey, if you're new listening here, my name is Micah, Diele, host of Real Talk and Whatnot. Now, this is a podcast where I highlight the talented individuals who live within the Central Valley of California, as well as people in general who are passionate about what they do. Now, I'm going to remind you guys to make sure you're downloading every single podcast, whatever podcast app you're doing, and as well as just sharing it. Honestly, I think I asked you guys to download, and I asked you guys to, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which are both very important things. But more important than both of those, I think just sharing the podcast, and the way that you can do that is on Instagram. So if you want to really help out the show, once I post some promos to the episodes coming out, just share it on your story. That'd be great. That would really help out the show. It gets, people who live in the Central Valley, especially since this is such a tight-knit community, by you guys just sharing it with a couple times, or every time I post a promo video, it really helps spread the word to other people in the Central Valley who may not know about this podcast. So that's honestly, reviews, downloads are all great, but if you could just share my post on Instagram about the podcast, that would help me out more than anything. So I really appreciate that, you guys. And now we can jump into today's episode. I think from that solo podcast, I got a little too comfortable talking with myself, and now I'm like just telling stories on here and everything. But hey, whatever. So today's episode, I am joined by Jason and Mikey of the Knockin Doorz podcast. Now, this is another local podcast that I have had the opportunity to meet these gentlemen, and it was just a great experience, a great time talking with them. Their podcast is about, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, mental illness, just those types of topics. And what they do is they go and they talk to celebrities. And it's just so cool hearing these stories from the celebrities. And it's so cool that it's a local podcast, because, a lot of times I think you think you're from a small town, you never have the opportunity to maybe go out and do some of the bigger things. But these guys are so down to earth, and it just is so cool that they take celebrities who, people hold on these pedestals, and they just talk to them like normal people. They just talk to them like human beings. And I think a lot of times you get that TMZ type of news where it's just like gotcha journalism, and you're there for a quick soundbite. But these people, these guys, they just sit and they talk to these different people. So whether it's I'm trying to think of all the people they've had on: Charlie Sheen, Bruce Buffer, Chuck Liddell, Escape the Fate lead singer Craig Mabbitt, Denise Richards, Charlie Sheen. I don't know, maybe I said that twice. I don't know. But they're just the Caitlyn Jenner. I don't know. They have had so many people on their podcast, you guys, and it's such a cool podcast because I think that it's breaking that barrier of what people don't get to see about celebrities or about people they look up to. It's just, hey, they're just people like us. They use the toilet, they shit the same way as us, and it's just really cool what these guys are doing. And now this podcast got started by Carlos Vieira, and Carlos Vieira ran into Jason at Target, and then the next thing they know, they have this podcast going all about substance abuse because he just released his book, Knockin Doorz Down. Then they bring Mikey onto it, and Mikey, had a completely different job before this, and then he still worked for Carlos, and Carlos said, now you're doing this podcast thing, and now he's doing this podcast. And it's just so funny that how this thing came to be, and it's just a great story. It's great to talk to them. We talk about Merced and the revamping of it, and just what it used to be like, with them growing up, and then what it was like for me growing up, and then what it's like now. It's just such a great time that we had on this podcast, and I truly enjoyed the conversation that we had on this podcast. So I really hope you guys enjoy it, because I know I really did. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mikey and Jason of Knockin Doorz Down. This is it. Real talk and whatnot.
Real talk. That's what it is. Real talk. Real talk. Real talk.
I was like, they'll be fine without headphones.
Oh, I'm cool. Yeah, I don't mind them.
You don't like hearing your voice anyways, right?
I hate it. So it's just like whatever.
And so how did your guys' podcast even begin? Like, all right, over here, point to Jason.
How much
Dude,
time you got?
I'll do the quick story so that Mikey doesn't give me the TiVo. Boop, boop, fast forward. So Carlos Vieira, who owns 5150, the lifestyle brand here, and the Carlos Vieira Foundation, he wrote his autobiography, Knockin Doorz Down. Of course, he had struggles with cocaine addiction. And we bumped into each other at Target, and he's like, "These podcast things you're doing in addition to your radio career, I want you to do one for me. Can you talk with people about like recovery and I don't know what?" I was like, "Mental health." He's like, "Yeah, great, okay," because he knows I'm in recovery for alcoholism, and classic Carlos fashion. He's, "I will call you in 30 days time." No, it was 3 hours later. "Okay, here's what I'm doing. Here's what it is. What does it take to get together a podcast?" And I went, "This is what I know. I'm doing them for fun."
And so at the time, what were you doing for fun?
I was doing one that was kind of like a morning show type approach. And then I abandoned that, and I was just focusing solely. I was doing one only about Motley Crue. And,
really?
And it's still getting listens, and I haven't touched it in 2 years, however long we've been doing this. And I ran Radio Merced here as the operations manager, and so he's like, "Hey, come on board full time." And I was drowning at first. It was like fucking crazy. And then he shut down the energy drink, which...
it did stop?
Yeah, they stopped production on it. So
I was the DM of that before they brought me here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, gotcha. Honestly, I remember seeing him everywhere, but that makes sense. I was like, man, I haven't seen him in a while.
So I was like, "Dude, Carlos, I need help. My anxiety's going crazy." And he's like, "Well, we're shutting down the energy drink. Who do you want?" Well, Mikey and I had been friends, I don't know, 6-7 years at that point. So I was like, give me Mikey.
So I'm just like a piece of meat. You know what I mean?
Give me that
thrown
guy.
around.
Well, look at this guy. Come on.
How do you not want him?
I took a week off for the energy drink, and this is when everybody was getting laid off. We knew something was going to come.
Oh,
We
when
knew the energy
2020
drink-
beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the pandemic hit, I took a week off because it was only supposed to last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I was
so
just like,
we're
cool.
shut
So
down
I
for a
got
little
1
bit.
week to run out into the apocalypse, and the other week I'll be at home. 2 years later, here we are. But when I came back after my week vacation, they said, "Oh, by the way, you're working on a podcast with LaChance," and I was like, "What?" What's a podcast? You know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna talk about this, and that, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. And what month are we in? What month is this?
November.
November.
So we're
November
close
of
to-
So March would
2021.
be 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing this.
So from 2020 March, that's when you started?
yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. And then, I mean, obviously, so with our... Introduce yourselves for people who may be listening right now.
I'm Jason LaChance, host of the Knockin Doorz Down podcast.
And I am.
Recovery.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
Go ahead.
I am Mikey Naraki. I am the co-host of the Knockin Doorz Down
Nice,
podcast.
nice. And also, I'm having like flashbacks to my childhood, man, listening to 92.5 growing up.
Oh, right
now.
on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. See?
I was the 103.9. Sorry.
Oh, were you?
I classic rock,
Second.
man. Classic
Oh,
rock.
really?
I'm all about
honestly,
classic
I was like, man, I feel like that guy sounds familiar too, and I was trying to figure out why, and that makes sense though too.
Yeah, no, it was all 103.9.
No, he wasn't on air.
No, I wasn't on
really?
air. No.
You were just.
There was a Mikey though, right?
Mikey was on the Bear.
Yeah, and so
Right,
that's
right.
what I was so confused about because I mean I see your name and I'm like, is that are they both from the Bear?
No,
No,
you got the
different
better
guy.
looking Mikey here.
No, much love to Mikey. I think he's out there doing good. But no, different guy altogether. Yeah, Mikey had no experience whatsoever. But having known him and his personality, and he was so good with people, and he's had some of his own, as everybody struggles. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you're talking to the anxiety crew right here.
Oh, for sure.
So I having known him and seen how he is with people and with a lot of empathy, it was, I think, one of those great situations that it was, thank goodness it lined up the way it did.
Yeah.
Life has a weird way of
Dude,
that happening.
yeah.
So for instance, I just had deja vu when he was talking that we were here. So, it's kind of weird how things line up in life. So it's been a real blessing to have him and kind of, not just with the podcast and his input and ideas and passion, but like the
Just
friendship.
a friendship in general.
Yeah.
And that's cool when it goes a little deeper than that. That's like the dude who edits my sound. His name's Duffy, but he's just one of my best friends. And he just believes in me and he just supports me by doing that. And it's just such a cool thing that when you just have people rooting for you. You know what I mean? And just like you're saying, it's not just like on air we're friends, and it's like, oh, hey, fuck you. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'll get
But there's
a lot of
hosts like
shit.
that.
Like, there's people that are like, dude, your guys' podcast, it's sick. I love it. Like, keep it up. And there's people, your shirt's wrinkled. What the fuck? What the fuck's wrong with your shirt? And I'm like, there's a lot of things that are on my priority list, but ironing my shirt is not one of them. So fuck off.
Yeah, that's funny. So you've been in the kind of broadcasting, right, from the get-go, or like how did you get into broadcasting?
So it's been including Knockin Doorz down almost 22 years. So I started at right about 21.
Oh damn!
I was literally out at a bar, friend's band had some trouble setting up equipment. I think guitar player, per my recollection, blew a tube in his amp, ran to the store. I killed some time. Like telling jokes, talking to people.
Really?
The guy comes up to me, goes, "You're pretty funny. You ever thought of working in radio?" I said, "You want to buy me a Jack and Coke?" Or you ever thought of buying me a Jack and Coke? He's like, "Done." And he's still one of my best friends to this day. So
Really?
yeah, I started interning while in college, and the rest is
thing led to
history.
that.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
went from being in Monterey, came to Merced. And
And so are you from Merced? Or
no, I was born on the coast.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
what brought you to Merced?
Job.
Was
Yeah.
it the radio?
Yep. Was the offer to do a morning show. In my head, I was going to be the next Howard Stern. And you listened to my show on the Bears, so we got into some pretty crazy shit.
Jokes.
Well,
and
Merced
stuff like
is
that.
the land of opportunity. I mean, if you're going to make of yourself something, it's Merced.
Well, it was for me because
honestly, like when you were telling me that, I'm like, man, you don't hear too many people like, oh, actually, I left the coast and I moved to Merced.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I'm glad you're here.
Because it's by Monterey. I mean, he grew up where people vacation. You know what I'm saying?
where
So-
everyone from here, went over there to
Yeah.
vacation.
it was like stay in radio there and destitute, or come here and actually be able to meet all my bills and have one job and
And a job that you like, and a job that's
Yeah.
entertaining, and
yeah,
it's a cool job, cool gig, huh?
Yeah, Merced's been good to me. I mean, I 2 kids later, unfortunately divorced later too, but it's where I built my life as an adult. So I'm like you. I love it here.
Yeah.
It's a good community. The best part, yes, there are lots of beautiful areas we can go, but I've met cool people.
And that's the thing too. It's like so underrepresented. Like you can be any place, I think, and you can like if you're from Sacramento, even if you're from the Santa Cruz or wherever it may be, you can look at that city and be like, oh, there's nothing to do here, blah blah. And it's just the fact that you grew up there. It's the classic like. Like when you're growing up, high school mentality and at early college, I'm gonna leave this place. I'm gonna get out of here. But it's just at the end of the day, it's like if it makes you happy or if you like the city or whatever it is, it's just a great place to be, and that's why I like the Central Valley.
Well, people, sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
go
like
ahead.
people are like, Merced, what is there to do there? And I fucking hate that question. It's like, well, what do you do in your town? Well, hang out with my friends, we'll go get some good food, go get a drink after. It's like, there's that too.
Yeah, we can do-
Merced isn't just land with horses and cattle. We have restaurants. There's places where you can get a drink. They have coffee shops. Like, what do you want to do? Pretty sure we have that here.
Yeah.
So it's just always kind of like,
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? What do you do?
yeah,
here?
and it's like, oh, you're from Merced, that must suck. It's like, dude, I love Merced.
Yeah.
And people who are from here that hate it, I mean, that's your own opinion, but this town is what made you who you are.
Yeah.
So if you're good with that, then you could thank Merced, and if you're not good with that, then that kind of sounds like it's your problem.
No, that's true. And it's something I never thought that would happen from like me starting a podcast is that I have a whole bunch of friends who moved away. Sure. And
Right.
they all like hit me up like, hey man, I've been listening to your podcast. I love seeing what's going on down there.
yeah.
And
Right
it's just
on.
like, I never even thought that would be an outlet for it. For some reason in my head, I'm just like trying to put the city on the map, you know what I mean? But like just having people who like moved away and maybe my perception of them was maybe they were trying to get out of here or whatever. But it's cool to see them like tuning back in. I just get random messages from people like, hey, like what you're doing, man. It's just like reassuring, and just like cool. Like I'm glad that, people out there are liking to check back in with what's going on in the area.
Absolutely.
Well, and I find, I've been all over the world and seen some cool stuff in my travels, but the things I remember most are the people. And it's kind of like if you hate your community, your circle's probably shitty.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, maybe it's changing the circle or whatever. I mean, I love arts and, it's cool we got so many talented people, from painting to drawing to sculpting to musicians and stuff. And there's so much cool stuff
There's a
here
lot
to
of art
offer
here,
and
yeah.
participate in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's all in what you look for. I know for me, I was miserable when it was all I got is the bar every Friday and Saturday night and hangovers and everything else, And when I started to change that shit about myself and change my circle, it's like life got pretty good.
Sorry, there's a buzzing noise.
Ah, Leave it up to me to bump the
No,
thing.
there we go. We're good. We can cut it out, whatever. Or we'll leave it in, honestly.
Fuck it. It's real, man. It's real.
This is live.
Yeah.
Not really. But so then you guys started the podcast, or Carlos Vieira hit you up, and from that point, like, did you help develop the show? You know what I mean? Like, the idea was there, but how did it come to be what it is now?
Yeah, it was pretty much at the beginning all me. You know, like Mikey hadn't yet come on board. You know, we had you know, some of the help with the marketing that 5150 that they had at the time. You know, different person now, which he's awesome, and you know, he's gone through his substance abuse struggles too. This guy Jason Van Dusen, who's awesome. And then, you know, once Mikey came in, my perception at first was just like, oh, I'm just talking to so-and-so and I got to build it up. And then, you know, Mikey, with the passion that he's had, it's like, well, let's hit up Carlos and see if we can get some big celebrities here. Because I was having no inroads, nobody responding, where it's just this little podcast.
Yeah.
You know, how many listeners do you got? You know, we get 500, 600 listens per episode or something, you know, and Mikey really had that passion. Like, why don't we ask Carlos if we can get big names? And so once he kind of came on board, it was like, oh shit, you know, the boss man's never said no, go after it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was like, once he came in, it took it to a totally different level. And then, you know, hey, well, we got these big name people. Why aren't we getting something out there on YouTube? Like, you know,
was it just audio at first?
It was just audio.
Oh,
at
okay,
first.
gotcha.
Yeah. So, you know, that was really, I have to turn that over to him to kind of push it a little bit more.
I had no idea that because I used to live in LA. So when I came back, I had no idea that I was going to be dealing with more LA shit living in Merced than when I was living in LA. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't move down there for any specific reason. I just went just to go. And, you know, I thought every day there was going to be like a Van Halen music video. And it wasn't. It got, you know, dark. So I came back here, fast forward to the podcast, and now we're getting all these people, you know, like Charlie Sheen, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Caitlyn Jenner, all them. And it's like dealing with the contracts, agents, publicists, all that. It's like, but I'm dealing with that here, not when I was there. And it's just a trip to me. But
because you probably moved over there thinking more opportunity.
I mean, I just kind of went. Like, at the time I was 21, me and my chick had just broken up. So I was all bummed out. And my best friend in the whole world was moving down there. So he was like, dude, just come with me. And I was like, all right. It wasn't there to like be an actor or write a screenplay or anything like that. It was just to go. And I went. So I tested the waters there, and, you know, enough was enough, because all we were doing was partying. It was a weekend that lasted a year, pretty much. I remember bits and pieces of it, pictures proving that I was there, but I don't really remember too much of it, to be honest with you. But I do remember that it's no regrets. You know, I'm glad I did it, and now we're back here, and the rest is rock and roll history.
Yeah, and so like working with these big names, like you guys both said, you're like the anxiety crew over here. You guys get anxiety like prior to talking to these people?
That kind of shit doesn't give me anxiety. The stuff that gives me anxiety is like movie theaters, like sitting in a movie theater or like in airplane. Not that I'm worried about the plane's going to go down, but like when I get anxiety, I can just get up, splash my face with water, and like take a walk. You could do that in a movie theater, but you're going to disrupt 15 people as you're walking to get out.
And then you're getting more anxiety the more like
realize. And then in an airplane, you can't do that. I mean, you can go to the bathroom, but then you're going to disrupt even more people. But like, again, back to living in LA, my roommate and I, we worked at the sushi restaurant where there was a lot of big names that came in all the time. So it got to like, it was just second nature seeing people.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that big of a deal. So like, yeah, we're excited to see and interview these people, but I don't know about you, but that kind of shit doesn't give me anxiety. I'm more excited to talk to him than anything.
I think it's more the process of securing the interview that gets anxiety. But no, I think same thing, having been in radio, you know, and doing backstage interviews and stuff with big name bands. And I've talked to a lot of my favorite musicians, like Motley Crue's my favorite rock metal band. I've interviewed all those guys at different points and met them and things like that. So it wasn't so much an anxiety, more as making sure that they're comfortable with us, being on the same level as them, so that we got a good conversation that flows, that we're not there to Mikey puts it well, we're not Barbara Walters. We're not trying to pull something out. We're not going to
try to get
grill
them
you,
to
bro.
react or get a clip that goes
We're not
viral.
selling any shit to TMZ or
Yeah.
like if it's bad and it makes you look bad or your loved ones, then Jason will just cut that shit out.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we have, and there has been stuff that has been omitted under request, you know, so we're respectful of that, but we want to have a conversation with people that helps. And if it takes a celebrity to come on, if it takes a Charlie Sheen or, you know, a Caitlyn Jenner or a Kelly Osbourne or whatever to come on, and maybe they hear something that's familiar and thus they want to confront whatever their issues might be and realize there's help. You don't have to live in the dark, then, hey, you know, that's what it takes. And so most people, you know, all of them just been incredibly gracious and awesome.
I was doing some research before I had you guys on, and I was just going through watching like 20, 30 minutes of like multiple episodes, and it just like you guys are having a conversation like this with them, and you're not making it be this whole thing of like, all right, let's instantly right now talk about like why you have anxiety. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or why you're depressed or why you have addictions. It's more of just let it naturally come up. And does because you mentioned that, you know, you had a problem with alcohol and everything. Did like you coming from that kind of help you in the way that you maneuver and talk to these people?
Absolutely, because you can kind of, for me, I can hear within what they're saying, you know, when I can recognize it either from my own experience or being in the rooms and meetings or, you know, working with the sponsor or whatever it is, that certain things that stand out. So, you know, I kind of go in with bullet points in my head. And then if it's something that I can jump to it or kind of dig a little bit more and see what, you know, not in a disrespectful way, but maybe what they have to offer there, that there's maybe a little gem of information there that you just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes people are just, you know, they'll open up something you didn't expect. We've had interviews where we just thought we were, you know, talking to Jonah Chow. She voiced on Ryu in The Last Dragon.
Something like,
Yeah, and we her management didn't let us know or anything that you know, she struggled with gambling addiction and bulimia, but once she started talking to us, like, wow, you guys were so open. And of my understanding, we were the first time she had spoken about that publicly.
Really?
So she made that decision on her own, which was a really bold and brave thing. And, you know, it was like, wow, thank you. Thank you for that, you know, trusting us and that we're not going to sit here and judge you to open up. It's
and so
pretty powerful.
And when you guys are reaching out to these people, you're going through their agents, obviously, right? And then however you guys do it, right? But so what, do they know about your podcast and what it's about going into it? Like, are they like, oh, we're going to talk about, you know, these things? Or is it kind of just...
Yeah, I mean, because every celebrity we interview, it's for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to talk to this person about this topic, and we need to make it clear that that's what they're going to talk about.
Okay, yeah, that's my
Like,
question.
we're not going to talk to, you know, like, Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's been famous since he was little. I'm sure he's had adversity. He's human. We all have. But it's like, life's been pretty good.
Yeah,
you know, from what we see. I don't know. But from what we see. But, like... people like, you know, Kelly Osbourne, who suffers from addiction and, you know, anxiety and all that stuff, we make it abundantly clear that that's the topic we're going to be focusing on. So if you're not down to talk about it, that's fine, but just let us know and then we'll just, you know.
We'll back off.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where we go. And a lot of people, like Denise Richards, she was just like, oh yeah, I've listened to you guys, blah, blah, blah. And we're just like, what? You did?
Yeah.
Sick.
Right on. Cheryl Burke was that way. I love what you guys do. Like, really? And she was naming off episodes.
Oh, really?
And it's like,
do you watch
wow.
Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah. Well, I don't watch it, but I know who.
See, I don't, and I didn't. I had no idea who she was.
Where she was my favorite.
I told her that. She was like, do you watch Dancing with the Stars? And I'm like, no. And she goes, I love you for that. Thank you. I'm just like,
I respect you.
I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I'm not going to lie to you, but
yeah. That's cool. And I think what it comes down to is that when you guys are doing your show and you're doing your podcast, like what I notice is that you're just being like this.
Yeah.
You're
That's how
being
you have to
super
be.
chill.
And
I mean, that's what I try to be too.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be myself. And like, I always get anxiety for like the 10 minutes before I'm about to start a podcast. And then as soon as I meet the people, it just, everything goes out the door. Yeah, exactly. But it's just that right before, it's like, I don't know you guys really, you know, before this podcast, this is literally like our first conversation.
Yeah.
But already when we sat down and started talking, I was like, okay, this is gonna be chill.
Yeah,
You
for
know what
sure.
I mean?
I have to do a little bit of that. I'll do a little bit of pacing beforehand because I kind of got to focus and really
Game face.
I got to get into the moment. It's, that can be a struggle for me sometimes to make sure that I'm there and present. But yeah, once it gets rolling and people are cool and, most people when they walk in and it's like, they're like, hey, what's going on? Nice to be like, hey, bring her up again, Cheryl Burke. I mean, we were telling stories like sailors and she was a laugh, right? And it's like, I don't remember if it was her or her one of her management people came with her. It's like, you guys better get to recording because we
were
got
bullshitting for
time.
like 30 minutes before we went on. And normally they're like in, out. Like we'll have their assistant with them, like they need to be out by this time. And I'm just like, okay, then let us talk.
Yeah, exactly. And then so you guys travel, right? You always are on the move.
Our second
for your-
home's LA.
Yeah, exactly. So you just go to their homes or wherever they're going to set it up, and you bring everything with you and set it up.
Yeah, you'll see on YouTube. We'll have either the home studio, like Teresa Giudice from Real Housewives. She actually came to our studio.
Oh,
there in
really?
Livingston.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that was one of the most recent ones,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, pretty
2
recent,
episodes
yeah.
ago. So she actually came to us. Otherwise, we do have a
Oh,
setup.
okay. I did
we
notice
do
that
on
one
the
was a little, because your intros are shot there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, our intros, I thought you meant like their shout
Oh, no, I meant like your guys'
Oh,
like
yeah.
intros with the ad reads and
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
else. It's
yeah.
there, right?
Yep.
So she came there.
Yep. But otherwise, LA, and we went to Philadelphia for Mike the Situation from Jersey Shore, and then Bam. We actually were at
Bam.
Castle Bam.
So that's where it was. Okay,
Yeah.
and is that where Viva La Bam was filmed in LA?
Yeah, dude. I was living in my TV set when I was at that house because I loved that show.
I just had a conversation with my buddy because I was telling him, I was like, oh yeah, I'm having these guys on. They interviewed Bam, ball, and he was like, in Philadelphia, his house there? I was like, I don't know. I thought it was in LA, dude. But now that you say that, he's gonna be like, told you, man. I told you.
No, it was at Castle Bam, so it was kind of a trip.
Yeah, just growing
Well, it's
up.
weird because his mom called me, and because I guess she's like his manager. They work together, obviously, and she's like, "Okay, so you're gonna walk in the backyard. The key's here, and then you go there, and then the house is yours. You guys do whatever." And I'm looking at Jason. I'm like, "The fuck, dude." The fuck?
Yeah.
So I grab the key and then we walk in and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is literally what I've watched for, however many years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Bam pulls up. He's like, hey, what's up? And I'm just like, we're just
good Bam
walking in
impression.
this dude's house, and he's not even there. And it's like they knock on the door. We open the front door like, hey, welcome to your house, bro. Come on in. It was just a trip. And like, I don't know. It was fun. It was a good time for sure. But that's kind of like back to the anxiety thing. I feel like sometimes they have anxiety because we'll have interviews in LA and Jason and I, he'll be in his hotel room, I'll be in mine. And then I'm like, Gary Busey just called me. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. He called me. He just wanted to introduce himself. It's like they want to talk before the interview just to familiarize themselves. So it's like they probably get the same feelings we do.
Yeah,
they're just normal people. They just have a little bit more money than us. That's it.
More money, a little more exposure.
They use the bathroom like the rest of us.
Yeah, they all shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. And so you were talking about Bam's house. I listened to that episode, and that was pretty funny because you're saying like he kind of was just like, or his mom was like, yeah, just come in, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then he was like talking about how somebody was like living up in his treehouse
Yeah,
or
oh, yeah.
whatever. And like, just there's people there all the time. He didn't even know who was over all the time. I'm like,
There's just so
man.
much property. Like you can there's this hobbit hole. It's like a mother-in-law house, but literally like a half a mile away from his house. So you can live there and nobody would know. They don't go in there anymore. They don't film the TV show anymore. Bam doesn't even live there. He lives a couple miles away from that place, but it's like anybody could. And I really don't even think he would care. I think his mom cares more than he does because we told him like, yeah, we got to get back to the hotel room. He's like, why didn't you guys tell me you were staying for a couple? You could have just stayed here. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm looking at Jason like, missed opportunity. Damn it.
You know, we don't have to go back to our hotel room.
Yeah.
We're going to go get our stuff and we'll
guess
just
we'll
come
stay
back.
here, right?
But with all the people, lurking on his property, it's probably best that we didn't.
Yeah.
For safety reasons.
It's definitely made for an interesting scenario, But you think about those kind of things, and when Bam would talk about that, he is when the substance abuse was going on, and you're in a haze anyway. So we do get a lot of that with people that, hey, this is how life was, and it's hitting, like Mikey would say, the TMZ stuff, and it's like, well, they weren't in the right mind, So we're definitely talking with people of a different state, totally a different person.
Then like maybe what society has portrayed them to be.
Charlie
or whatever.
Sheen, the best example.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
Sweetest guy.
Well, yeah, from
Total
your
blast.
guys' interviews, and so you guys have had him on a couple times?
Twice, yeah.
Twice? Okay, yeah.
So we
I
touched
had
on addiction
no idea
first
what to
time.
expect with him.
No.
No idea. And then he walked in and he was the fucking most down to earth, coolest dude I've ever met. Like he was just so like, his manager was literally like, okay, we got to go. And he was like, so where are you guys from? You know, and I'm just like, he wants to talk to us more. That's cool. And then the second time we see him, he's like, Mikey, where do I just park? And I'm like, Charlie, she knows me. Yeah, that's cool. No big deal.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I mean, you guys have obviously are making good impressions, you know what I mean? For the fact that he's like, oh, I want to do it again. Like I had a great conversation with those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and he was so gracious. I mean, first time talk about addiction issues, second time the HIV diagnosis. And really the thing that came, that I pulled from it a lot that was helpful for me was, owning his actions, not, regardless of his state of sobriety or whatever, and accepting the impact upon the people that he did and owning those ramifications as well and trying to make amends. So, it's such an important thing. I think no matter if you're not struggling with addiction, hopefully people watching, listening are not.
Yeah.
But, we all have our mental health challenges, our growth
Everyone
challenges.
has vices and everything.
Yeah, is that there's something you can get out of each and every one of these conversations that are there that are gems that, it's like, I always joke, everyone could benefit from a 12-step program.
Yeah. No,
Or therapy.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of things that I think like I'm really open with my friends and everything, and it's almost like a form of therapy that we can just be super open with each other. But there's times when like I haven't been open with people for like a long time, and then it starts weighing on you. You don't really realize why you're feeling this type of way or what it is. But
no, and that's what I'm passionate about is the mental health aspect of it, because I've had anxiety for years and I didn't know what the hell it was. I thought like something was wrong with me. I've had EKGs, brain scans, just everything, because I don't know, something's wrong with me. I don't know what it was. And then my mom told me that my grandma, her mom, has been on Valium her entire life. My mom has anxiety, has had it for her entire life. And I didn't know what the hell it was. So once I figured it out, it's like, I think it's different for like men, because if you're going through a panic attack and I'm talking to you and you don't know what it is, like, dude, fucking suck it up.
Yeah, stop
you're
being a pussy,
fine.
man.
Yeah, quit being a bitch.
Yeah,
You're fine. And it's just like, it's okay to have a panic attack and just chill. Just, go separate yourself and whatever, or talking about it. Like, everybody has it. Not everybody, but like what am I trying to say? If you have it, it's okay. It's not curable, but it's manageable.
Yeah.
And it helps to talk about it.
And I think recent, or like with the way society is, like we were saying, like 50 years ago, it wasn't anxiety wasn't a thing.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
Basically, I mean it definitely was a thing, but
Right.
wasn't an acknowledged thing.
You weren't allowed to have it
Yeah,
in some households.
exactly.
In some households.
Yeah, it was a very much a rub dirt on it mentality.
Yeah, and I think with social media and just the progression of everything else, it's kind of like bringing apparent that like everyone else is now, we're all getting this weird anxiety that didn't exist before with, I haven't checked my Instagram, I haven't looked at my phone,
Right.
or whatever it may be. It's that social anxiety now, and I think that's what's almost made it more socially acceptable, is the fact that it's becoming more and more common and more people are starting to have it.
Yeah, the world's evolved so much, and Mikey brought up a really good point about like, as a man, suck it up, and the thing with all these things, be it alcoholism, drug addiction, sex and love addiction. Yes, it's a real thing, people. Mental health disorders is that men and women manifest them differently. Like my son is on the autism spectrum. A girl might go undiagnosed, whereas boys, they tend to kind of see it more because the way that women's brains, bodies, and everything, chemistry works. It's just these things manifest so differently with everybody else, and it's kind of this has been a cool journey, and just giving people a lot more grace, a lot less judgment. We all need a lot less judgment. I mean, this is my second time talking with you in person, other than, hey, great job with the.
I was like, hey, man. I was like, just real quick hi.
Yeah, but we don't. We don't know anything about each other's stories.
Yeah.
Here I am
exactly.
at 43, not going to out you at your age, I'm not sure. But you've got a story from when you were born to now. And, everybody's got all these different circumstances that they go through to be where they're at in the moment like this. We might have a conversation, or you see them on the news or on our podcast. And, so, I think, if anything, I hope it destigmatizes addiction, mental health, and gets people to judge a lot less.
Yeah,
you know?
well, I think it does, and I think what you guys are doing with you're having celebrity interviews, but it's not the typical celebrity interview. You know, it's not the you guys were saying TMZ or the gotcha type of journalism.
Right.
It's just hey, we don't talk to you. Who are you? Pretty much tell us your story.
Yeah.
And that's really cool because you don't see that. And that's what makes your show stand out a little bit more than, all the other celebrity shows. Yeah, of course, people have the big media behind them. And that's why they're getting 500,000 downloads and whatever else it may be. But at the end of the day, yours is more real.
Right.
And then I think that's what's sticking out more. And that's what, I'm trying to do in this podcast is just be myself and just let it take me wherever it's taking me. I always feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I just keep on doing it. You know what I mean?
Me
I
either.
keep doing what's working for me, and then whatever it turns into.
Oh
it
no,
turns
we
into.
planned everything out. we knew by this date we'd have 1.5 million views on
I knew when I was a
YouTube
kid that I was going to do a mental health sobriety, breaking a stigma podcast.
That's why I did the things I did in order to get here.
Yeah.
That's why I did blow for so long. I had to test the waters first.
I know exactly what it was like. Yeah, I would have never have thought. I would have never have thought. Not even when I moved here, I wouldn't have thought that I would still be in Merced County, let alone have a family here and be doing this with one of my best friends. I would have never have thought.
Yeah, it's really cool too. Just how it organically came to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Like I said, I took a week off and I came back at a different job. I totally unexpected, but happy that it happened.
Yeah,
I love what we do.
And hit the ground running. You
Yeah,
did,
for
my
sure. I
friend.
mean, fuck.
Yeah, and so during the pandemic, pretty much you started it, and then you're in the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. And so how was that, dealing with that? Was it just Zooms?
Yeah.
Buy stock in Zoom, baby.
Yeah.
Because that's all we did. And slowly but surely there are people that, are they down to do it in person? Yeah, they're down to do it in person. And then it'd be kind of more and more and more. And now it's just...
Yeah, now more.
I don't even want to do Zoom now.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Well, they'll do it, but via Zoom. It's
Yeah, you
wait.
lose the authenticity or how you're actually feeling in the room.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And during the quarantine, of course, you had to do Zoom in the beginning.
You had
it
to,
was,
yeah, for
Because I was
sure.
watching because I was just looking through all your guys', and I used to be a huge Escape the Fate fan. So
nice.
Craig Mabbey
Craig.
and stuff like that. But I was just and stuff like that. There's
Sure.
me saying my word, man, my crutch.
Yeah, Craig was, that was an example of, per my recollection, having, met him well over a decade ago, talk about a completely different person now. That's an example of how, as we like to say, knocking doors down, which for us, we've meant it as taking that dark time, turning it to your advantage and giving back. And what a different person altogether, seeing him clear-eyed, clear-headed, owning his shit and, just being like, why, this isn't living, whereas, us as fans, oftentimes the people they're living their best life.
You want them to be the party animal, to be doing drugs, or especially if you're from a rock band, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else is there about rock bands besides drugs, girls, and partying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all you were growing up to think about.
Yeah, those are my role models. I mean, his was Motley Crue, mine was Guns N' Roses.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
still love Guns N' Roses, but it's I'm not going to be a rock star. You're not them. You know what I mean? They are all doing well now for the most part, I think, but it's just I don't know. I feel like a lot of the drug use and all that is influenced by your role models, obviously.
Yeah.
And mine was skateboarding and rock and roll. So it's you wanted to live that lifestyle and all that, but you're not them, dude. Just be you. Everyone else is already taken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's I had somebody. You know who Dalton Jeffries is? He's So he's.
I know who he
No,
is.
you know who he is. Yeah, so he's a real good friend of mine. Our dads were best friends growing up, and he's a pitcher on the A's now.
Oh, cool.
And so I just had him on, or it's gonna drop. I don't know when, sometime. But and he was just telling me when he's sitting down talking with Mookie Betts or whatever, crazy a big baseball star it is. He's like Mookie Betts' advice to me was just he's like I'm not trying to break all these records. I'm not trying to do all this. He's like I'm just trying to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And he was at the end of the day, that's all you need to do. Try to be the best pitcher you can be or be the best person you can be. And it's just so cool. It just reminds me of your guys' podcast, when you're talking to these people who, everyone holds them maybe on a pedestal or everything else. But at the end of the day, it's just, they're just down to earth people like you guys. They have
And it's a job, no matter what people want to think.
Yeah.
You know, it's a job, yes. And it, you know, sometimes people, when I've thought about it, being an actor or whatever it is, and people don't realize how much dedication and focus goes into that, or being a band that travels and you're doing 23 dates in 30 days, and especially if you have this crazy setup and all this stuff, it becomes what consumes you. So, you know, it's like, it's almost one of those be careful what you ask for kind of situations. I mean, I just couldn't fathom, you know, as a single dad and with the amount of hours we put in a week, I mean, it can go from 40 to, I'd say our biggest was 65, 70 hours in a week, you know, with the travel and things where it's like.
And it's funny because people are like, what do you do? Podcasts. What else do you do? Like a fucking podcast full time. And it doesn't help with the lady situation either.
Yeah.
Like, wait, so what do you do besides that?
That's
all
my
I fucking
job.
do, dude. It's like more than 40 hours.
Dude, I'm over here like
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, but I freaking do. So I do photography and videography as
Right,
well.
right,
and
right.
So I do all that stuff, and then I also like high school substitute teach. So that's also what
nice.
I do. But like I'm just like all over the place,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
always tell people like you guys don't realize how much work like goes into like one episode, and I'm like making like my highlight videos and all this other stuff, and it's just like. I can spend 4 hours like making a highlight video, and it's just like, and I mean, I enjoy it, and like I try not to make it work, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I enjoy doing it, but you know, I'm putting like 8 to 15 hours into like this one episode before I'm putting it out, and it's just like managing it all. But like you're saying, people are like, it's just a podcast. It's like it's a lot more than just a podcast.
Yeah, last night I was up till what did I text you, like 10:30 that I finally got this episode done, and I figured for an hour and 15-minute video edit and had some computer issues, I put in over 20-25 hours.
Yeah.
And I haven't even pulled out the clips for social media and stuff yet, or edited the audio portion of it. And, you know, and we've got all the business things that we do in the meetings and, you know, some sponsorship opportunities coming up and all these things. So, you know, then you stack on top of that 50-50 custody with kids. And, you know, it's like, and
your actual personal
and,
life and everything else. It's just.
Yeah. So it's, you know, we put a lot into delivering a good quality thing that, you know, it's, you know, when we're not bitching about it, it's just a reality. Like Mikey said, we love what we do.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good time. And it helps when no kids. I don't have any kids.
You know what I guess?
No kids.
And how old are you?
I'm 33.
33. So there's like a
10-year gap.
10-year gap?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm 28, so that's how old I am. But
all these young bucks. I remember being you guys'
Old ass.
ages.
You know, you don't look 43 though. I'll say that. You
hey, some good beard dye.
and,
the red hair.
and you just got your hair still, man. So that I think that's the biggest.
He's got a strong hairline.
Yeah,
Knock
exactly.
on wood, genetics.
And
hopefully it holds up.
you're clearly trying to be a little younger with your color. You got some purple. I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
no. You are. I
fucking love it.
I acknowledge that like nobody's business. You nailed it right there. No, because I get bored, man. I'm like. I'm still the same weird dude that I've always been. You know, nails aren't painted today, but they often are. And,
Dude, I get bored and cut my hair. That's been my thing. It's like my hair will be long as shit, and then I get bored and I'm just take a fucking just cuz. And so I get it with the hair thing and whatever, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's weird. I always cut my hair when I'm bored.
I think, what I would say is that even though Mikey may not acknowledge it, we're both kind of artistic people in different ways. I mean, you know, the guy's a beautiful palette of tattoo work, you know, and you know, I've got more coming and things like that. And I'm one of those people that if I get bored, I go back to my defect, and if I fall into my defects, then my anxiety and, you know, thinking about the future or falling in depression, worrying about the things that happened in the past that I've, you know, dealt with or continue to deal with, then a bottle comes out again, and then I'm going to disappear. So it's like, fuck it, if you got a problem that I'm 43 and I color my hair and paint my nails or whatever else it is, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think growing up, like, you really care about like other people's perceptions of you. It just, I think, just when you're a kid, you know, and then from there it stems to like your, you know, early adulthood life. And then for me, it was like right when I was 25, I kind of just stopped caring. Like, I wouldn't do things because I thought my friends were going to make fun of me or do something like that. Like, and then
my friends give me shit all the time. It doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's like my friends with this podcast, dude. And I need that. I need people to give me shit. I like that.
Bring you back down to earth.
Yeah, exactly. But every now and then, like, you know, it's one of those things where growing up, like, you're afraid to embrace who you are. It's just that classic type of like, whether you're gay, you're gonna come out of the closet, or you're into whatever type of music you're into. I don't know. Sometimes your friends, just growing up, you can have like this weird no, not trauma, but like scared to be who you are. And I think that
I kept a secret for a long time, the kind of TV that I watch, and it's out now, but I fucking love reality TV, like Below Deck, The Real Housewives, Vanderpump. I don't know what it is about, not the Kardashians though. I tried. My sister watches that shit all the time, and I tried. I just couldn't do it. But I get why people do it. They live this fantasy life in LA that everybody wishes they could. So they just live vicariously through them. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know what reality TV is. I don't even like the Real Housewives show. The people that we've talked to on there were outstanding and amazing people, but I don't even know what it is that I like about them. I can't relate to any of them or anything, maybe except the fact that it takes place in LA. Like, I don't know.
You just like it though?
I just do. Reality TV in general. I just love reality TV.
The only reality TV that I love is Survivor. Like I've
never seen it,
dude. Yeah, and so like it was one of those things where like I hadn't seen Survivor in a long time, and then quarantine hit, and then my fiance was like watching this episode, and I was like, oh, I remember that chick from Survivor. And then like we just got on a binge, and we watched like there's like 40 fucking seasons.
What else is your thing on Netflix?
Well, we had Katie Gallagher from Merced that was on there. She was a runner-up. I worked with her at the radio station. She was one of our salespeople. Still a friend to this
That's
day.
cool.
Shit, we should talk, now that I think of it, we should hit up Katie, see if she'll come and talk on the experience. But yeah, I get that. But anyways, you were binge watching.
What's your show, dude?
Well, I mean, I love The Office.
Oh my
I
gosh, love
The we talked to.
Oh yeah, David Wallace. Yeah, that was one of the ones I was.
Andy Buckley.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, but his name's not David Wallace. But
everyone
listening will know who it is.
I called him.
Yeah,
David.
it's like you can't. If you're a fan of The Office, it's just like such a.
Oh, he
stepped out. He was taking a piss, and I was like, I'm gonna make a lot of Office references, and I might call you David on accident. He goes, I embrace it, dude. Like, please do. He gave us business cards that say David Wallace.
Really?
I think
we had Dunder Mifflin mugs when we were sitting there talking to him in his backyard. He had it all set up for us.
The Office is kind of one of those funny things where like that guy, like it's not like he had the biggest role on this show. It's just the show became, let me see this, Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, David Wallace. And that's dope that he still has
He still has those.
That's
really sick.
Give me a business card.
Yeah, there you go. You see that, you guys?
It's Dunder Mifflin, yeah. And I'm just like, I'm going to keep this. Just a little.
Yeah, because it's not like, it was like, he was like the biggest character on that show. He's a small, I mean, written relatively for like how many episodes he was, it's a smaller.
Super small.
Smaller character on the show, but like, he will forever, I'm sure, out in public and everything. It's like David Wallace.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It was pivotal.
Nobody knows him. He's
Andy.
Except the actors who acted with him in The Office. But everybody else, it's David Wallace. That's his name.
Yeah. Hey, like he said, we were sitting in the very backyard of his home that was pretty nice. And he goes, well, it helped pay for this and kids going off to college. So, and that's what the thing, too, like talking with people that where it was talking with like, Charlie, not to bring him up again, but he was like, I think the best thing I do of service is entertain people. I just want to get back to working because it's what I do, and it's kind of the end of the day. People need to understand if it's musicians or actors or whatever they may be, it's just what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, Mikey fell into this how he did. I fell into it how I did. I pursued passion and opportunities came, much like yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I commend you. Your work's awesome.
Thanks,
like you did our friend Scotty Rich. His stage name, but Scotty C. Miller. You did this great promo stuff, and you're out there doing these shots on the streets with them, and while he's performing, and it's like, hey, this is my passion. I'm going to make something happen out of it. We only get one life.
And that's the thing that in like 2019, that's when I graduated from college in 2019 or 2018. I don't know what year it was. But then, the classic, you graduate and I got a degree in like educational studies. So I was like, I'll be a teacher, I guess, whatever. It was also the quickest degree at that point. I was like, I got to stop going to school. I've been going to school for 8 years, you guys. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to school for like 2 weeks in college. I was there for a little bit.
So then in like 2019, I graduated college and then it kind of got to the point in my life. I'm like, what do I want to do? You know what I mean? Like I tried to, I was like, maybe I'll be like an earth and space science teacher. I like those subjects. And I took like the exams you need to take. And I was like off by like 1 or 2 points each time I took it. And then I kind of was just like, okay, like what do I want to do? And then I saw this ad and it was like, what's your dream job? Make a video about it. And then, so I'd always been into like video and stuff like that. So, and I would make all these videos in high school, just like, old YouTube skits shows type stuff. Like that's what I was doing in high school, and then I went away from it, and then I hit up my buddy Jimmy when I saw that competition thing, and I hit him up and I was like, hey, would you be down to help me with this? And he was like, yeah. And so we made like a video about like what my dream job was, or our dream job was. And so from that point in 2019, I've just like submerged myself in video and photography, and then one thing's led to another. Now I have a podcast all of a sudden, you know what I mean? It's just, I just started doing stuff for me, and at the end of the day, it's like all you can do is try to make yourself happy and the ones you love around you happy as well. And so I'm just happy where I'm at by just pursuing what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find it odd too when you start to do that. Then you start to, like you said, the ones you care about and around you start to easily be of service to other people. Mm-hmm. You know, you just are. You know, like we're not experts. We don't have any education other than life education.
And we tell them that too. Like, we're not here to diagnose you or anything like that. Like, we're just talking.
You didn't get a bachelor's or a doctorate
I did
with those
not.
2 weeks?
That might be, I don't think anybody knows that, no. The 2 weeks I was there, did not.
Mikey wasn't the whiz to go
not
through
as smart as I look, I guess.
I mean, my education's in film and television. I never saw radio coming, let alone this, but... You know, it's just...
And photography too, right?
Yeah, I got a degree in AA.
Fucking
really?
worst picture taker I've ever seen in my life. Dude, I love him to death, but I'm just like, bro, I am never going to see this person again, and we get a picture, and you fuck it up. So I'll take a picture, and then I'll show him. I'm like, make it look just like that, okay? We're never going to see this guy again, so let's make this picture good. How'd you get a degree in this shit?
Mine was on...
With love.
Mine was on portrait. I did portraiture was my final project. I painted my friends up like Kiss, and did photos, and then the final picture was a combination of all four, the makeup of all the members of mine, and then I was in the middle of them, and I had it blacked out. You know, this is when you had to, you know,
I fucking love
your own photos.
It was back when it was a different thing.
Dark room and everything.
Yeah,
I'm old, people. I use the dark room.
I love Kiss.
No Photoshop. Photoshop barely existed.
I just had a podcast with one of my friend's moms, and she was a photographer from like the 70s to now. So I was like, it was like from the film to the digital age to tell me about it. But yeah, she was talking about like the actual dark room and everything else. And I'm like, and I was like, I asked her like, what do you think we lost on it? And she was like, just like the patience. Like photography used to just be like such a calm, patient. You had to take the time to set up your shots. Now you just take all these pictures and let's see which one.
Well, now anybody can look like a photographer with the new fucking
with
cameras
the new
they have
iPhone
on the
and stuff
phone.
like that.
Goodness,
And everyone's like, oh, they're gonna replace cameras. I'm like, at the end of the day, they're not. But like they make the average consumer take such better way better photos than they used to. You know what I mean?
I could take a picture of, you know, this table with the microphone with the 13 camera, and it would just look fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I did my other buddy's podcast yesterday. It's called Mulberry Dreams, and it was like this guy out in Atwater, and he ended up losing the cord to his camera, and so he was just like, oh, we'll just use my iPhone to record it.
Yeah.
And like, but like I was like looking at it, I was like, and he was like, oh yeah, I used like my iPhone for like the first 15 episodes. I was like, honestly, you can't tell. Like,
Didn't they film a movie with an iPhone recently?
They'll do it commercials and all.
I know they do
kinds of
commercials, but with the commercials, I'm like, also, you guys had like a $50,000 at least budget behind this,
Yeah.
so like no wonder
Lighting.
it looks like it does. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all about
steady
lighting
glide
too.
and
Yeah,
everything else,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm
Kanye
like,
did a music video with just the phone too. It was all just phone camera. Yeah.
Missed that one. Don't know how.
I didn't watch it. I just heard about it. But yeah.
Yay, huh?
Technology and the advancement.
That's cool. So you guys both have been you've been in broadcasting longer than I have, right? So I was just, if you have like any advice for me, you know, going on, just, I don't know, because I don't know anything. Everything's self-taught.
Sure.
And that's about everything in my life. Everything's self-taught, except for what I learned in school, which I'm not currently using.
Welcome to the club. Most of it. Well, college, yes. But I think you're doing, continue to be genuine and authentic like you are. It's, I think that comes across, especially with the podcast, is, people, we try to treat whoever's listening or viewing like, they're sitting in the room or in the back seat of the car, just hearing us have the conversations that we're having, or just, be like, oh, this is an interesting conversation to eavesdrop while you're at a restaurant, So we want it to be that feeling, and I think you get that across with it. If you had a different angle, then you got to focus. Like when I was doing the Bear here or the Country Station or Hot 104.7, I got to assume a bit of a different personality to speak with that audience. And I'm only speaking in sound bites, but this is, a flowing conversation.
Yeah.
So I think anyone that's out there with podcasting, know your niche, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Here you're trying to focus it. Merced is actually pretty fucking cool people.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cool people around here, and there's a lot of cool things to get involved with. And I think as long as you keep speaking to that, then you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the whole thing. It's like, I mean, obviously I love Merced because like I'm from Merced, but like the whole Central Valley in general, it just gets that rep. You know, people don't think about. They think of California. Obviously, it's Bay Area, it's SoCal, or it's NorCal, but it's not you know where all your almonds come from. People, you know, that's where we are.
Right.
Well, and there's a few new episodes on Netflix. I'm not gonna say what it is, but that make the Central Valley look like it's just a farm town.
Yeah.
With just
And I get,
and it is.
Yeah.
It's not just farm and like. How many high schools are in Merced alone? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not a little small town. There's like 6 or 7 damn high schools.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, it's so misunderstood.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's fine because there's enough people here and the in and out lines are long enough anyways. So if you hate Merced, by all means.
Yeah.
See you later.
And the cool thing being here over 20 years, you know, as an adult, is seeing the change of what's happening economically and the growth of the art community and activities and things for kids. And there really is a very concerted effort to build better community and jobs, because 2 things keep people out of trouble. It's work and sense of community. And those things are so incredibly important to just everybody for life. And so it's cool to see that happening, you know.
That's the thing about Merced is just like, look at Merced, you know, 6-7 years ago compared to now. Like walk downtown, it's completely transformed.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things too, where it's just like I started realizing, because I just started realizing like, oh, like we're slowly getting new things, you know, because back when the Tioga was still, you know, what it used to be, and El Cap and the Mainzer, like they were those 3 things alone, like.
Dude, you go into the El Cap, you'll forget you're in Merced.
Oh, dude, yeah. If you're in the little courtyard area, it's like, oh, are we in the Bay Area somewhere?
I went
We're
there
just
once,
chilling.
and I was just like, I'm looking up there, and I'm just like, damn, this does not feel like Merced. This motherfucker's trying to valet my car.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, back up, dude. Like, there's no valets here. That sounds like a small town comment.
Yeah.
But growing up, you know, it was. But yeah, it's different, but it's good.
Yeah.
Downtown's looking sick. You know
No,
what I
it
mean?
is.
I used to live out by the UC, and shit, I'd be gone for a weekend, and then I'd come back Monday, and there's 20 houses that just came up over that week.
Dude, right now it's
Just
happening
like,
again
damn.
all over. I live
Yeah.
right over there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up the Mainzer. I mean, I remember going there well before fatherhood and, you know, going to all my friends that were, you know, in indie bands and everything else and going and grabbing a beer. And now what it is now, I mean, it's a beautiful change of what
it used to
was
be
occurring.
kind of similar thing.
Yeah.
Similar, yeah.
Shows
Just a
and
little more
shit.
rundown, I guess.
A little more rundown,
Yeah.
a little bit different.
Grittier,
and-
huh?
Yeah, I think...
More like fucking hardcore.
no,
now it's clean.
You would get, I mean...
I know
it
we gotta
was-
get some rap concerts in there. That's what I think.
It was
I
an
agree.
indie rustic, you know, just kind of like band, like, you know, alt bands were there. And a lot of my buddies, you know, like one of the big bands was Deriva back then that people might remember. And, you know, going and seeing them. But then you had, you know, RC who was running it and booking at the time. And then he's got, you know, the Partisan and, you know, the other stuff that he's, you know, developed down there and his people. And so it's cool to see
Which was also renovated.
Yeah.
Renovated.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a blues place.
Dude,
and
I missed the old Partisan. Not miss it, but like it was like a dive bar feeling
For
more
sure.
like when you went into there. And then I liked how wasn't it like lowered?
It was
a bar.
when you ordered, you had to like bend down and lean over.
yeah.
Now
That's
it's
what
like-
now that I miss it.
I mean,
like,
it's cool.
Like nostalgia, like
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
type of like old bar it used to be. Now, like when I go there, I'm like, I mean, it's a completely different place.
But what's
obviously.
sick is they have the pictures of what it used to be and like the construction and all that shit. That's dope.
Yeah, that
That's
is
dope.
cool.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I mean, unfortunate timing on like they're about to like reopen and the pandemic hit, and then it's just like,
Yeah, but it's for me seeing that evolution. It's pretty cool. It's giving people more opportunities to get out, check things out. It becomes more communal. People feel more welcome overall. It wasn't just this crowd only. And,
Yeah.
You know, and I get that mentality. I know Mikey being a skater is like, if you're not a skater when you were young, you're a fucking kook.
yeah.
No, I never went through that. I can understand how you think, but I never went through that. Like locals only, fucking get out of here. Andy Roy, we interviewed him, and he's like, you know, this Santa Cruz skater with like the high socks, dicky shorts, and you know, just fucking get out of here, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I was never really like that, just because I didn't give a shit who skated in Merced. Like, if you're, at the skate park and I've never seen you before, whatever, have fun, enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I can understand how you think, because a lot of skaters were like that.
They have that.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I never did. It was always just kind of like, yeah, whatever, man. It's fun. That's an art form, speaking of art.
Yeah, I just think that it's, you kind of had your territories. Like, okay, we here's your indie rock group, and here's your painters over here. But now everybody's kind of intermingling.
Yeah, and
more.
that's what it needs to be. They need, like you're saying, community. And that's the thing that I've learned from this podcast more than anything. It's just the sense of community and how much people really want it. Because, growing up, it's just you're doing whatever your parents are doing. You're in those communities. But as the older you get, the more that I've realized, just through this podcast, that how important community is in general. And just having, like you're saying, that strong community is what keeps people from doing whatever stuff, bad stuff it could be, like drugs or whatever it may be. And that's why I love the town and everything else. And then, so when did the Mainzer, or was it used to be called the Mainzer too?
Yeah, it was still the Mainzer.
When did it close?
Gosh,
because I was never.
It
I don't
reopened
recall.
just over 2 years ago, and I think it was closed for over a decade.
Yeah, and then there was just Cinema Cafe was there.
Yeah, Cinema Cafe was there, and then
dude, I know. I'm like
the best breakfast.
Yeah, dude.
I'm
I love their
I'm not a
rancheros.
breakfast fan, but I loved their breakfast.
Yeah, their breakfast was good. I'm like,
I was a junior when I went to the Mainzer, so they were open in 06.
Yeah, so it was closed for about a decade.
So they closed
a little over a decade, yeah.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, it was just a vacant building. Like when I was walking around Main Street like in high school and stuff like that, it was just vacant building. I just remember saying that.
I think stuff just wasn't up to code. It needed to be brought up to code, and
no one had the money to do it.
No one had the money. Well, we saw it with the Merced Theater too. That thing was closed forever from the time I had moved here until whenever that was.
Yeah, it was just a
decade ago, maybe.
It was just the beacon of Merced, but it's
like,
we'll keep it up because
it was the only
I was
thing
trying to think of what you guys were talking about. I'm like, oh, that's right.
The only thing I knew it for, I had buddies that rented the upstairs apartments there. That was it. But that beautiful theater was closed forever, and then some big artists have come through.
Yeah, exactly. And then even Steve-O and everything else.
Yeah,
too, just.
Oh yeah,
I got that photo on my phone of me with him at that event. Actually,
yeah, it was like his stand-up comedy, right? It was like his routine. And
yeah,
my buddy went to it. He was like, "Yeah, he cut off his pubes, burned them, or something like that." Like Steve-O stuff.
He balanced a fucking canoe on his chin.
Really?
Yeah,
because he was like circus, right?
Yeah, because he was a trained clown.
Yeah,
yeah, he did all that stuff. So he was a trip. He was pretty cool because I had interviewed him prior to that, and so that was pretty neat. But yeah, many people have come through. So it's starting to get back some of that presence that was years ago. I think when the base closed, that impacted.
Yeah,
because I saw that in Monterey. I grew up out there, and when Fort Ord closed, it impacted the heck out of it.
I've been out there and just like kind of walked around out there, and it's just like a whole bunch of vacant, empty buildings, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's weird walking around there. But then again, I love walking around Castle.
Yeah,
like all the apartments that used to be there, or like little houses. Because for photography wise, like I love taking pictures of just like ruins and stuff like that. But they always have people running you off, like, "Hey, you can't be here." I'm like, why? Like, clearly, people have been here.
Because there's some hidden secret. So hopefully, we'll continue to kind of see what Monterey. Because I graduated at CSUMB in Monterey, where Fort Ord was. And so, going there as a kid that had people that I knew that were in the military, to see it evolve. And even since I left there, 2 decades ago, how it evolved. So hopefully, we can get those kind of things going more so here too.
Well, and I think with, with the UC being here as well, like, it's just naturally you're drawing, a little bit different of a crowd. People are coming from out of town and everything. And like even the UC itself has had like bigger bands and stuff, bigger people play out there. And so I think the problem, and I always talk about on my podcast over and over, is just like we're finally getting to the spot where we have places to throw shows. But prior to like the Mainzer being open and the old the Merced Theater, like prior to that, nothing really.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have anything to throw a show. So how are you going to have to throw shows? But what I want to happen in Merced is just like, obviously it'd be awesome to get, people, big names here, but also just throw on shows with your local artists. There's so many talented people in this area, and I've had like so many different rappers and just musical artists on this podcast. Yeah. It's just like they just don't have an opportunity to show to play. Yeah. And it's just like these artists aren't asking for like a lot of money, or most artists even around here just want to perform. They want to do a show. They don't even want the money. And it's just like we just need a spot to do it.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing that.
Yeah, and we are. It's just slowly getting
evolving
there. Yeah.
The Partisan and places like that. And then my kids, and I believe his nephews too, Michael Soria, local jazz musician who plays a lot of different stuff, weddings and just events.
We will
and
send
things
you an
like
invoice for that plug, Michael.
Yeah. Take some
you
off the
with
bill,
that,
Michael. But people like that, the guys that I've known that like Rick Stokes that works at Gottschalk Music. He's been in so many bands like Deriva I mentioned way back when, and so there's a stronghold of people that are out there playing, and you can find it every weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a friend of mine, it's cover band 17, played at what's the Italian place, North Merced.
Strings,
out there, full band set up, doing covers. You could sit outside and enjoy by the fire and watch, cover rock music and stuff.
And that's what I like too. I think that's coming back. I think it's the first stage, like you're saying, it's evolving, is that music while people are eating, or you know what I mean? Just like that type of music, that's coming back like way stronger than prior to like basically like the past couple years. Like that wasn't really in Merced at all.
Do you guys like that?
I love it.
I don't like that, especially if it's loud as fuck. If I'm eating and there's like playing in my ear, it's like, dude, back up.
I think I think it depends. Like some people do it more as background music, and then other people do it to where it's like this person's having a show while you're eating.
Background music, I'm down with. I'm down with that. But if it's just loud as shit, like Michael Soria. His stuff is very calm, it's mellow, it's smooth. I'm down with that. Yeah. But there are some where I go and it's just not in Merced, but the music is just blaring. They're loud as shit. And I'm like, I'm trying to eat.
It's not
very rude.
Yeah.
I think it depends on, you gotta know that you're going to enjoy that and the whole deal. Like when when you were filming for Scotty is like, okay, I had promised him I would go, and if I don't go now, I won't follow through on my promise, which I'm big about keeping. But I knew I was gonna go sit. Catch up with his wife and enjoy music because I had never seen him perform. I've known the guy for like 16 years, and I had never seen him perform live.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew I was going to get a meal and watch my friend perform, and
and that environment's pretty cool in the Mainzer. I really like the whole. It's like you're having dinner, but it's dinner and a show.
Yeah.
It's literally what it is.
And you can just go for dinner.
That's cool.
There's a restaurant separate. You don't have to do the show, but if you want to go and enjoy some live performances and get some, some good food, there you go. There's a good option. Or, there's lots of places that are doing that.
Yeah. And I'm glad that, we're getting back there.
Yeah. Or, hopefully things as this opens up, like the Art Hop, I thought was always phenomenal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I missed that. Yeah.
I loved it. I love being able to go, okay, over here we got kids dancing and doing a performance, and it's so cool to see them getting out of a comfort zone and getting out there and doing it, and and live painters and live acting performances. You can go all over and check it out. And while you're also downtown, hey, maybe you weren't aware there's an Italian place here or an American place or this kind of food, so you can really just kind of check out what there is to offer. And by the way, you might bump into someone you haven't seen in 3 years and catch up, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so.
And it's a cool environment and everything. And downtown, so many new places are coming. That's what I love about it. And then did you see the supermarket or it's Strangers Clothing? Do you know what that is? Oh, so you should check it out. It's downtown. So it's I think it's where Subway used to be.
Okay.
It's right by Partisan though.
Oh, okay, so still on Main.
Yeah, still on Main. And so they painted the back of it to be like a cow. It's pretty funny. And so it looks like literally like a cow on the back, and that's like Strangers Clothing, and they have a whole bunch of stuff right there. And then on the front of it, they're having a restaurant.
Oh, nice.
And so so next time if you drive like the back way on 16th Street, look over there, you'll just see a cow building.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, but it recently got painted pretty like a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago. No, so it's basically just like a couple doors down from the pool hall.
Oh,
if you're
right
looking
on.
at it from that back alleyway. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
See, that's the kind of stuff that's awesome to bring in here. I'm all for that.
Yeah, and I think more of it's coming than I've ever seen in my life.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so, because I love walking around downtown and going into, like Tigers and Daggers, the record store, thumbing through
I love that there's still a record
and,
store.
Yeah, and, because I dig that stuff. I grew up on vinyl. I'm not old, people.
Sounds better on vinyl, bro. I love it when people tell me that.
It does not sound better on vinyl, but it's there's something cool about the tangible nature to you're putting a needle on a piece of something. So it's got a different kind of presence.
It's different than pushing play on your phone for sure.
Yeah.
And that I've recently got a record player, and that's one of the things I was like, I like it for like that. And it's cool when there's an album that's like a cohesive album that goes together, because those are cool in record. Sometimes I've had like somebody play a record, and it's just like, if every song's super different, it's not as good of an experience.
Yeah,
you know,
it doesn't
what I
have
mean?
a flow.
Yeah,
line up right.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And people don't make records now. We're gonna give you a single or two, and there you go. That's what you get.
Singles are freaking hot right now. That's all everyone's doing.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's gonna go back to that. People always, what do you mean back? I'm like, Buddy Holly didn't put out full albums. Little Richard didn't put out full albums. You know, you go back and Richie Valens didn't have full albums. Those were compiled later. It's like, okay, they would have an A side, B side. That's what would go out, and that's what you would get. You know, so I think it's kind of going back in a weird way to that, which is totally fine.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I was gonna say, you would think that you'd have majored in something with music, honestly, like with how your career ended up being. Like, if you were to ask me, I'd have been like, oh yeah, probably like music theory or something with like history of music and just like all the stuff that you do know. But it's just funny because it's like, what you're actually passionate about, it's like you're going to learn that, and that's going to stick with you way more than
for sure
a class that you're not that into.
Yeah, you're going to go. I mean, I did do some music theory classes and things like that in college, music history, but it was kind of like, okay, this is an elective. Cool. I like music. I like talking about music. I got an opinion, you know? So, yeah, but it's like you said, passion, whatever you pursue. I never thought I'd have a passion for recovery and mental health till I had to acknowledge, wow, you suffer from anxiety, depression. And by the way, that problem with drinking, it's not everybody else's fault. It's your own.
Yeah.
Time to own your shit, you know? So I never perceived, 10 years ago that would be the case.
Yeah.
You know? I figured I'd be the dad that come home on a Friday night and I'm going to barbecue and crack a couple beers. And it's like, no, that's not even an option for my life. So, it's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, boys, I appreciate you guys being here. I really do. Jason,
thank you, good sir.
Mikey,
thank you for having us, man.
And then go ahead, plug your guys' stuff while we're here.
All right.
Take it away, Jason.
You got it. Knockin Doorz down. Get the podcast. You can go to kddpodcast.com. That'll take you to all the apps that we're on, as well as a link for the YouTube channels. If you're like Mikey, who prefers to watch his conversation.
I'd rather watch podcasts all day, every day. That's the only reason I have video on my podcast.
I'd rather watch
it.
I don't like hearing it. I want to see it too.
Yeah.
But it is free to subscribe. Everything is just these two knuckleheads here out of Merced doing these interviews, and lots of great guests on there, and follow us on social media, Knockin Doorz Down on Facebook, Instagram, and then at KDD Media Company on Twitter. And, hey, give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. We appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks, boys. This is it. Real talk and whatnot.
Real talk. That's it.
Real talk.